How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Brody Hasso. I'm going to be your host again. If you watched our last episode, link in the description. It was all about retirement planning. And today, we're not going to stray too far away from that. We're still going to stay in the retirement zone of 401ks. And we have the man back himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Dodd, owner of DMI. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It has been a crazy busy week, and I know we're recording this on Friday night. And I don't know about you, but I mean, once I hit Friday night, I'm like, I want to breathe for a minute. But we're keeping on working.
I know. What time is it over there? Is it 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm getting close to the 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, here it is. You know what
Go
time it was.
home. Oh my goodness. Well, I know you do a lot of these 401k seminars. Like you go around, you do some education to some big corporate clients that you have. And is why is understanding your 401k so important when it comes to your retirement plan?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the things that are going to write your paycheck in the future, your 401k plan is probably right up in the top one or two things that are going to actually help you out unless you are inheriting really really well, which
Yeah.
you can't count on that stuff. So yeah, it's going to be your largest retirement asset, and so we got to understand that fact first. The
Mhm.
problem is that most people kind of think, well, gee, it's not that important because it's small when you start.
The big understanding is that you put money in now and it's going to compound for years and years and years. And that's why you really want to get in early, is because you get that compounding effect, correct?
Absolutely. And I love the picture of this, the tiny snowball that starts at the top of the hill and then it's rolling over on itself, picking up snow, picking up size. And by the time we get to the bottom, we've got an avalanche. In this case, I hope it's an avalanche of money. I don't,
Yeah.
I want that to happen to everybody. It's my dream. But yeah, that's the idea of compounding really, really takes over, especially at the bottom of the hill or the closer we are to a retirement date.
Yeah. Well, and do you think, say, more young professionals like myself, a big common mistake is we're worried about paying bills. And even if our employers are giving us a match, we're like, we can't figure a way to get this into our budget. So we're not going to put any money in. Is that one of the biggest
It's
mistakes?
it is so hard. I mean, there's this tension between the budget and costs have been rising. We cannot ignore the inflation that's happened. I know
Yeah.
the Fed's trying to get it under control, and I hope they do. But inflation happened, so it's already on us, and that
Yeah.
really affects young people more, I think, than a lot of others. And it's just not fair, but it's the way it is. So I mean, starting with something and getting into it, and then you hit it really really smart. You said employer match, free money. That's the word right there. When you've got free money that somebody's willing to give you, take all of it. And so
Yeah.
if we don't take it all, we're missing out, and that's one of the key factors of success in this thing, is getting all of the free money that's out there for you.
Well, yeah, and that makes sense to me, especially somebody who wants to be able to retire and be able to live on my terms. But it also must be beneficial as an employer because you get to offer that to your employees, and you're allowing them to get more money into the retirement account by matching. So I guess that's kind of like a win-win for the employee and the employer.
Yeah, let me put
Would you
on the
say?
employer hat for just a second, because if you're an employer, right now it's so competitive out there. You're trying to retain and hire and find the best people and most talented people out there. And when you find them, you want to reward them. And one of the best ways is the 401k, because it's the only benefit that they have that actually makes them money. And that really speaks loudly.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess they say passive income. I don't know if that's the right word there, but like you're getting extra money on top of the money that you're contributing. Say if I start investing today, how much can I contribute each year? Is it capped? Can I put $1 million if I get a huge inheritance and have that snowball?
Absolutely. I wish there was a way to have it uncapped, but right now there's a cap on it. Maybe in the future. So once you're under 50, there's a limit to how much you can actually put in, and it's a big number. So
Mhm.
401k becomes very very powerful when it does talk about deferring taxes or putting money away, and we can talk about
Mhm.
how that works. But the number right now is 23,500. You don't have to memorize that one, but 23.5 is the limit. and that's the cap for 2025, and it will change with inflation over time.
Gotcha. And whenever you do withdraw that once you're able to, is that taxed or is that tax free? Or
Oh
is that a
man,
different?
absolutely. So there's two flavors in the retirement planning space, and they're very exciting: vanilla and chocolate. At least that's my way of putting it anyway. So maybe you'll come up
Vanilla.
with better flavors. I don't know. The traditional way is the pre-tax way. So it's pre-tax money. So it's reducing my federal income tax impact right now in this particular year that I'm donating or
Mhm,
contributing that to my plan. The other way to do it, the chocolate way, is to go into the Roth 401k. So you think
mhm.
Roth, I think reverse, because I'm paying my taxes today. So it's kind of the reverse way of doing retirement planning, but I get to play in retirement with tax free money. My money
Wow.
that I put in gets treated very differently. So I'm taxed one time on the way in. And then the earnings, as they compound, as they snowball downhill, those things are treated as tax free once I've met the conditions of the plan and pull it out.
Interesting. What would be the type of situations that you would go with a regular 401k and then a Roth 401k?
Oh man, that's great. That's a great question too. So yeah, if I one of the ways that I kind of think about this is when do I need to be paying my taxes or structure my taxation? Because we don't think about the fact that we do have control over when, not if, because you will pay taxes, but we do have some when control. And so
Mhm.
that these two things I can work with. So if I am in a bracket that I hope you're in this. So for all those who are earning a lot of money, and you're getting hit with some pretty high tax bills. So maybe you're making quarterly estimates. So you're whatever you're getting maybe in a W-2 that they're pulling out is not quite enough to cover the whole bill. That's a case for a traditional pre-tax method or vanilla flavored method of pulling it out. So I'm deferring that tax till later. But on the other hand, if I'm getting tax refunds, I might want to be thinking about going to Roth or taxing the whole thing in reverse and get tax-free money later. I love tax-free
Gotcha.
money.
Yes. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard those two, just an IRA, Roth IRA, but I didn't ever really understand the meat and potatoes of, why you would do one or the other. And maybe in another video we go directly in on just understanding those two, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff to say there. But everybody watching, if you haven't followed us on Facebook yet, we have a lot of team pictures there where you get to see what they're doing in the office, but also we ask some questions. And we had a question come up. Her name is Emily. She's 29 years old, and she said, I've never really paid attention to my 401k at work. Does it actually make that big of a difference? So I think by this question, especially for me, whenever I'm at work, I'm not really thinking too much about retirement. I'm just at the task at hand. I'm working, working, working. So, does it actually make that big of a difference?
Yeah, that's the point. So Emily is my hero because she's listening. That's
Mhm.
a question that doesn't get asked if I'm not paying some attention to my future. So hats off, right? So to break that down a little bit, it's like you go back to the compounding discussion, and it's like, yeah, that account may be literally starting at zero today,
Mhm.
but here's a number that like really kind of hooked me. For example, like contributing 200 bucks a month starting at age 25 could hit over 400 grand by age 65. Now I'm making an
Wow.
assumption of 7% annual growth. Nothing
Mhm.
works in a straight line, but we got to use
Yeah.
some kind of assumption.
Yeah.
$400,000. Would that change your life? Would 400,000 change you?
I mean, I wish I had $400,000 right now. That would
Right? I
that would do
know.
some good for me.
But if Emily, okay, let's say, okay, she was 20, let's say, I know she's 29, but in this scenario, she's 25. If she waits just a few years till she's 40, till life's,
Mhm.
I've got life set or whatever that
Yeah.
means, the longer you live, the more you're like, that's not a thing. If I wait till I'm 40 to start that same path, that 200 a month with the same investment rate, same compounding rate of 7%, only gets to 100 grand. That is completely different.
Wow. That's a big lifestyle change, from 100,000 to 400,000. In
Yeah.
retirement, that could be up to, uh, how am I living on $1,000 a month for groceries or $2,000 a month? Can I go on that extra vacation? Do I have to stay home? So I think at the end of the day, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and all we did was spend the same money just at a different time. And that was all we did.
Yeah.
Choosing a time. That's all we did.
Well, and I think that hones in on consistency and discipline. And at the end of the day, I think that makes up a lot of our financial decisions is, are we being consistent with how we're spending our budget every month? And are we being disciplined and saying, I'm choosing retirement, I'm choosing that lifestyle over the maybe the extra eating out today, the extra going out with friends, what
Yeah.
are the discipline choices I'm making today?
Absolutely. I was in a Starbucks this morning just visiting with friends, and it's amazing. I mean, we're willing to pay $5 to $8 for one drink. And I sat down with a group of guys this morning that were just meeting together, and the guy next to me, he's just got a big thing of chocolate milk. He did not buy it at Starbucks, but I'm like, you're a good man right here. He is setting a great example. I was setting a bad example. I had the $5 drink, but man, it was good.
Oh my goodness. Well, say Emily, she's hitting that 40-year mark, and she is kind of tired of working at this company. She's ready to change jobs. She's ready to just, get out of Dodge. What does she do with that 401k? Does it stay there? Is
Yeah.
it like, is there any options of how you can, I guess, get back on the driver's seat?
That's a great question too. So, like, I think about this like like luggage. We can leave our luggage at the airport, but it really makes more sense to travel with it. And and so many people leave their luggage at the airport. It makes to me no sense. But again, I guess out of sight, out of mind, and you
Yeah.
know, it just sometimes it happens that way. So the risk in that again is to take maybe by not paying attention to it, I don't really know what risk I'm taking. And if I don't know
Hmm.
my risk, I don't know the return path that I could be on. So I was talked to somebody 2 days ago, and they were like, "Yeah, well, I've got this guy, and he's making me 20% a year." And I'm like, if you're making 20% a year, you're also taking a risk on the market that may be many multiples higher of risk than you may be really wanting to take. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
fine when it's going up, but it won't go up forever. And when it goes the other way, you're gonna be wishing you had. The flip side of that thing is, maybe that thing's stuck in a really terrible fixed rate of return. And then so
Yeah.
you're missing out on what that compounding could be doing for you with just a little bit of adjustment. And so
Yeah.
we really do want to be paying attention to risk. Risk does matter and it will find you somewhere.
Yeah. And so are those options, I guess you can stay in the current plan, you can roll it over
Yes.
into something like I guess, an IRA, or is there a third option there that I'm missing, or is it just stay or
Yeah,
roll
I'm
over?
sorry. I jumped right past your past your question, didn't I? I went into like why, but yeah, the options are I can leave it back at the airport. I leave it the old employer, let it
Mhm.
sit around. I'm also able to roll it over to an individual retirement account or IRA, so that money becomes transportable and it does not incur a tax if I do that, which is fantastic. So I preserve the tax deferred nature of that particular cash. Then I can also roll it to my new plan that if I'm going to a company that I trust the plan that it's in, that I know that it's managed well because it does
Mhm.
matter. And then the last thing, I hate to even mention it, but I could cash it out. I don't recommend it. Heavy
Well,
penalties.
I'm glad you brought that up. So I guess if you cash out early before that 59 and a half mark, I'm just assuming you're getting hit with tons of fees.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So the fees are like this. So you have a mandatory penalty. So, I mean, it's not like you're paying any tax. You're just paying a pure penalty
Mhm.
if you're under 59 and a half of 10% right off the top. So I've got
Mhm.
100,000 bucks. I am losing $10,000 that probably took me years to even put in there.
Yeah.
not to mention the compounding that I've lost on that thing. And then I'm also liability for something else, federal taxes on top of that thing. So if I'm in like, if a
Mhm.
marginal tax bracket might be hitting, say in the 20s, well, that's, maybe I'm losing 30%. If I have 100 grand, that's $30,000 of hard earned time and sweat and money.
uh,
That's doing my job.
oh,
So yeah,
that just kind of makes your stomach sick, like just losing
yeah,
$30,000 of everything you work for. And I definitely understand, people, there's certain circumstances where that might have to be the only option. Um, but also you have three other potentials there, so you can stay, roll over to IRA or roll over to your new company if they have a great 401k. And, I like that we do have those options. And especially if you're getting your advice from ChatGPT, that's going to be something that everybody can understand is, here's your options and here's a less attractive option of pulling it out. But if you have to, that's just the way it is. But
yeah.
wow. Well, see, I have one more question here. So, what's one simple step someone can take this week to get more out of their 401k?
The one simple step we've got to take away is log in, because everything is about a login, right? I've got an app. I've done this like 3 times this week, helping somebody log in, just going to the
Yeah,
right screen. And just by logging in, you do at least put your eyes on your money. And if your eyes are seeing it, your heart's probably believing it. You're probably getting it in you in some level. And so we
yeah,
need to be emotionally invested about this stuff. And a lot of times I see people that are disengaged, they're disconnected from their money. And I get it because your eyes aren't on it. But when your
yeah.
eyes are on it, that all flips. And then suddenly you're emotionally engaged when you see an account that you hadn't seen in a long time. And it's like my long lost friend
Well, yeah, I think you said
who
something
might
last
write me
video.
checks.
Yeah, I think you said something last video, that you had a client that you were having a conversation with that came in later, said, "Hey, we realized we had these two 401ks that we completely forgot about."
I'm glad
I
you
feel
brought
like,
that up too, because I was like, I didn't want to repeat myself. But yeah, that totally happened. It does happen pretty often too. It's like, hey, I just found this account. I'm like, yep, yep, there we are. It happens every
well,
day.
I mean, and I think that kind of it does give, it goes back to the discipline. If you understand that you can, that, or you understand what your money is doing for you, you get those small victories to then continue to push you towards that consistency. And that also comes, where the superpower of having an advisor is you have that consistency and discipline buddy almost being like, hey, you should probably check this out. Have you logged in today? Or in the quarterly meetings, when's the last time you really looked at your money? So you have that, accountable partner there. So,
Accountability is everything, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is providing that buddy system. And I love that visual. Absolutely.
wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for another great episode. And everyone that's watching at home, if you like these videos, please give us a like, leave a comment if you have any questions. We're gonna make this a weekly occurrence. You get to see Jeremy's face, maybe some other friends and other DMI employees hop on. But thank you so much for watching, and yeah, have a great day.